So in this problem, we've been asked just to practice getting some values in from the keyboard and storing them in the correct variables, and maybe just outputting some things nicely to the screen. So we're making a kind of a wish list in this program. So our program wants to ask the user for their first name. So that's got to be a string value. The age, that should be just an integer, and 3 items that they want for their birthday and the cost. So we need the names of the 3 items, so those will be string values, and the cost of those items will likely be floating point values, and the total cost of everything would be also a floating point value. Now we could get the program to just calculate that itself, but the math to do that is in the next lesson, so we can just ask for that to be entered from the keyboard in this particular example. And it says it wants to print the information in a nicely formatted way onto the screen, so that can be kind of up to you how you want that to look. In the question I gave you kind of what mine would look like, and I'll write the program like that. So we'll go to our IDE and let's get that started. Okay. So we need our first name first, so let's just call that fname, and it's a string, so I don't need to put any like integer or floating point value in front of that input. So enter your first name. So remember, it's really important when you're writing programs that you're prompting the user to enter exactly what you want them to, otherwise they don't understand what's going on in the program. All right, the next thing I wanted was the person's age, so that was an integer, so I need to put the int there. So input, how old will you be? Okay. What's going on there? My tabs. That's really odd. Okay, now I've got to do those 3 items. So I need like item 1. That's just the name of the item, so that's a string, so no need to convert the input. So enter item. And then we need the cost, so maybe item 1 cost. So again, we're making good variable names when we write these programs. You need to be able to, I need to be able to understand, anybody else reading your program needs to understand what those variables actually represent. All right? And this would be a float, so a decimal number. So let's say, how much does it cost? Okay. And then we have to do that 2 more times, so maybe it's just faster if I just copy that a couple times and just change the item 1 to item 2, or item 3, okay? And then finally I need to ask for the total cost of everything, and that's a floating point value. Okay, so again, no need to do the math yet. That's in the next lesson. You could do it if you wanted to. It's pretty straightforward. You could probably guess what you would have to do that. So what was the total cost of everything? Okay. So there are input statements, and we are storing all our results. Now the question asked us to display that in kind of a nicely formatted way, right? So maybe I'm going to have like a title to it. And I'll use some escape characters just to kind of make things look good. So let's say it's tab over a little bit to kind of make our title. It's not going to be centered, but I mean, it's good enough. So we're going to print my name. So it'll say like Paul's 40th birthday list, or however old you are. Okay. So if I entered Paul, it would be Paul's, and then whatever age I am, birthday. Now it's not going to be perfect, but it should look pretty good. And then I want to, it's going to go down to the next line automatically when I do a print statement, but if I want another line, like kind of a blank line or a double space, I'm going to just put a new line character there. So there's a little more space before it prints out the other items. So now I'm going to print out all my items. So I'm going to say this is maybe first item is item 1's name. okay, and it's going to equal so many dollars. Okay, and then we have to print out item 1 cost in there as well. Okay, so it'll print this every time it runs the program, and then it'll fill in the blank with whatever items 1 name is equals to, and then it fills in the blank with the item 1 cost. And I need to do that for the other items as well. Just need to change their variable names. Okay, and then finally we'll print out the total cost of everything. And maybe I'll put a new line, an extra blank line in there as well, just to make it look better. So it will cost a total of the total cost variable. Okay, so I have no errors, so let's just make sure that it runs appropriately. Oh, I do have an error. What did I do? Invalid syntax. Okay, so it's good that you kind of see what happens when that happens. Okay, so it's pointing here, and I'm looking at this line, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that line. So usually a big tip is look at the line above. Okay. So what I did is I have the bracket here that goes with here, but I am missing the one that goes with the int. Okay, that's a pretty common mistake. So run it again. Okay, there we go. So what's my first name? My first name is Paul. How old will you be? Let's say I'll be 40. Okay. And what do I want? I want a home theater projector. Okay. And how much does it cost? Let's say it costs $4,000. And what else do I want? Oh, I would love a new car. Right. And how much does it cost? A new car that I want is probably going to be like $35,000. Right. And let's say I want pizza as well, because my favorite food is pizza. And that's about what a large pizza, or maybe an extra large pizza, is around. I think it's $12.99. Okay. I am entering them as floating point values, so we can check that as well. Okay. Now, what was the total cost of everything? So if I did it in my head, it was $39,000 and yeah, $39,000 and 12. Oh, can't do math. $12.99. Okay. And we'll enter that. Oh, and what did I do wrong? Okay. F name is not defined. So what did I do? Okay. So I wrote F name with a lowercase n here, but I wrote F name with a uppercase n there, so it errors out on me. So we can change that. Okay. And we'll see if this prints better this time. So do this again. So that was 4,000. The new car was 35,000, and the pizza was $12.99. Total cost of everything was $39,000 and $12.99. Okay, so here's my output. So see, it says Paul's 40th birthday list, my first item, and then my and what did I do? Okay, so first item, first item, first item. So I should probably change that to second item and third item. But other than that, that seems to solve the problem. I'm not going to run it again, but you guys get the point. Third item. Okay. This is why we test our programs, right? We don't just write things, assume that they're correct just because it didn't generate any compile time errors or any syntax errors that the IDE finds. But it's giving runtime errors as it's interpreting through all of the code. Okay.